Hi, I'm Russ Camarda, an actor and independent filmmaker in New York. And in between the fortunate chances I get to do my work, I love to hear how other artists approach their craft. In this series of conversations, you'll see some faces you recognize, some you may not, but they're all working artists. And we'll get to see how they take art and use their craft to reveal the truth. This is Art, Craft, Truth. In this conversation, we'll be talking with actor Tony LoBianco, a 60-year veteran of stage, screen, and television. From classic films like The French Connection, The 7-Ups, to Oliver Stone's Nixon, to a Tony-nominated performance of Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge on Broadway, Tony brings a unique perspective to show business and the craft of acting. How many years in the business altogether, if you put it all together?
Well, this is 2015, and in October, it'll be 61 years.
What, it happens different for different artists. Were you one of those people who, right off the bat as a kid, that's all you wanted to do, or did it come later? How did the craft come to you?
It came in high school. A teacher. I went to a vocational high school, a school that I had really no interest in any of the subject matter. It happened to be a school, it was a 1 block from my home. There was a speech and drama teacher. She saw something in me, and as everything else in our business is, the timing was right.
Right.
And you have to be there at the right time and the right place.
16, how old are you?
Just 17. Just turning 18 on October. I had natural, I guess, leadership ability.
Okay.
Came from sports, came from my boxing.
That's another reason I like you too. I'm a huge boxing fan. So.
Yeah, me too. Big boxing fan. I was the all-star first baseman on the baseball team, and I was the president of the class, just because I had leadership, not because I was a scholastic wonder, mind you. And so she saw that in me, and got me into her classroom. And it just so happened that a contest was coming around. What happened was I got into this contest. She asked me about a poem, and I read the poem. I thought, this is good. So I took it in. I won for my class. Then I competed in my school, won for my school. And then she changed the poem to Cyrano de Bergerac with the great speach. You could have said so many things.
You could have said about my nose.
About the nose. So here I am, representing Brooklyn in the city finals.
The bug bit you. You got a trophy.
Yeah, I got a little trophy. And so now what? What do I do? Well, as I said, find the cheapest school, because I had no money. Find the cheapest school with the biggest reputation. Great order. So then I went to the Dramatic Workshop in New York City on 51st Street and Broadway. Okay, to be an actor, that means I got to learn everything.
Right.
You know what? So I had to mop the stage. I want to know about the lights.
Sure.
I want to know about costume. I want to know about directing. I want to know about sets, building. So my activity in that was pretty strong.
From that point as a young man, but let's even skip ahead to how you dealt with it through your career and even till now. When you're approaching a character, what's the first thing that you do when you get that script in front of you and you start to see that stuff? I mean, where do you go?
Well, the first thing I do is to try to understand the world in which that person lives. What year are they living in? What knowledge do they have? They don't have our knowledge. And how were they educated? And who they are, what's all about them. I take it up to the year and try to eliminate the future.
Right. When you're actually, once you've done your preparation, you learned your stuff, and you've got behind your character as to, you put yourself in that place, and it's you and the other actor. How important is listening? What's that to the craft for you?
Well, sure. Listening is extremely important as acting, and and I separate acting and speaking. Because to me it is acting is not an accident. Acting is not a bunch of improvisation on film.
Right.
You might want to discover
Right.
with improvisation certain things, but not on film.
Right.
On film, acting to me is a precise art.
Right.
That looks absolutely natural and made up on the spur of the moment and all that stuff. But that's our job. That's our job as artists, to make it look like that. But the precision of every move, every look, because it's all body language as well, too. I learned a great deal from the human race. You ask me who's my acting teacher.
Right.
The human race is my acting teacher, because I watch people's behavior and shoulder action or foot moving, everything to me.
How important was it to be an actor in New York, to have that,
Absolutely.
just to look out wherever you go and just soak it all in?
And even better, being born in Brooklyn.
When you got into more professional acting and you started, wasn't it you and Roy Scheider, and didn't you guys do, wasn't there a theater company you all did together?
Yes. In 1962,
right?
I guess, the Triangle Theater was my partner, Bert Brinkerhoff, who was an actor then, is now a director. We discovered this theater together for $5,000 that we borrowed from the church. We built a stage. We had Jules Fisher as our lighting designer.
Right.
He put in the lights, lighting board, costumes, and we did 3 plays. All for $5,000.
Wow.
Free.
Wow.
It's the story of my life.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. Free. And so we ran this theater for 3, 4, 5 years. It's still going on under our name.
Is that?
I don't know what they're doing. Yeah,
Wow.
but they've changed it. It's the same area, but they moved the theater from where it was up to upstairs. But anyway, so we paid back. It was donations, and we paid back the church the $5,000 from the donations.
From school into the Triangle Theater, that you always had your hands in, from the lighting board to you knew everything. You learned the crafts that weren't just of the actor. You learned what had to be done to make these things work.
Well, you know why? Because if you're an actor only, and you say, I would like, or I want, and you don't know what you're talking about, or what it takes to get I like or I want, you're not helping anybody. So they're just becoming a pain in the arse. So if you know what it takes to do that, as far as your costume is concerned, I'm fanatic about how the costume is handled. The costume should be handled like gold, the respect to the costume and the matching. I don't trust the costume assistant to know that my tie should be, this goes with this suit, and so on. I write it down in my script.
Really?
Yeah.
So detail is, I'm getting coming off of you is very, very important.
Oh yeah.
Right down to the. It's interesting.
Oh sure.
A lot of different acters behave differently with that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I have to know, and then movies are made. You go into one room, and then 6 months later you're coming out the other door. Now you have to know. Of course, what you were wearing, what your emotion was, what the scene was prior, how you, so you have to know a lot.
So you're checking your own continuity all the time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I'm sure.
Let's talk about what you learned in the different schools of acting that as you moved along.
The dramatic workshop, that was the first school. I was being taught by a choreographer dance teacher.
Okay.
He had knowledge of acting was truly nil. He knew nothing of acting. What he knew, because he was a choreographer, was staging. Stage balance, actors and so on. And that's what I learned from him. Thank God, again, I was born in Brooklyn. Because, he'd give you direction. This is the kind of, you walk 2 steps, you turn, and now you look, and now you deliver the line. That was the direction on acting. Now, most people didn't know how to handle that and make it human. So thank God, Brooklyn again.
Brooklyn was the teacher.
Yeah, because I had background, I had family, I had uncles, I had street knowledge, I had school I went to. I was living life, with humans, with a lot of contact. Boxing, fighting, and whatever, all that jazz that made was part of my power,
Right.
part of my emotion, you know.
Right. Golden Gloves, is that what you were?
Golden Gloves, yeah.
Wow.
I did club fighting before that.
Really?
Yeah, Flatbush Boys Club
No
in
kidding.
Brooklyn, and other clubs.
How'd you do?
Oh yeah, Golden Gloves. I won and I lost. I knocked the guy out in the first round and won the first fight. In the second round, I lost the decision to a guy named Jesus.
Well, if you're going to lose to somebody,
Exactly.
you might as well lose to
So I finished in that school, and I knew I was able to cry. I was able to make the audience laugh. I was able to do all those things, sitting on stage, thinking, what am I going to have after dinner? What am I going to do? What game am I going to play? What softball game am I going to play next week? And I kept thinking, and they all kept applauding and I got all the reviews. I mean, amazing.
So it was coming easy.
Yeah, it was coming easy without my participation as far as I was concerned.
Right.
I mean, I got my first review in acting school for maybe 6 months to a year, I forget. And the first review was of pro caliber is Tony LoBianco, destined to flourish in the spotlight as a brilliant character artist. I mean, this is...
You know what? Hang it up.
I'm going to hang it up after that. Are you kidding? I don't want to go. I want to do it. I did it. I'm a star.
Here you go, Dad. I told you.
Right. Anyway, so here I was, the guy in the school, and they all wanted me to go to work. I stayed there 2 years.
Right.
They all said, go. And I said, I'm not ready. I don't know anything. So I left that school, which was teaching me from the outside in, and went to a school called Actors Repertory Theater, where they would teach me from the inside out. And so I went there, and this is the key. I went there dumb. I didn't want to go there with knowledge of everybody saying, go to work, or you're a pro caliber. No,
smart move.
You know, a strong move with a young kid. And so I didn't want to fight. I wanted to learn. I didn't go there to fight. I wanted to learn. So what I did was learn that side, and then put them together upon needing it. I mean, the first teacher taught me direction.
Right.
This guy was teaching me some kind of character study.
Right.
And so according to the play, I changed technique.
Right.
How I approach this part or how I approach that part is quite different.
As you work with other actors, even from that point on, you know, a lot of different actors come with different ideas, different knowledge bases, different techniques. How do you find you interact? How do you make that mesh? If somebody's coming from you know, Strasberg's head somewhere, and they're off in a corner being method about it, or you know, how do you deal with other actors working their own way and make it work together?
Well, as far as movies are concerned, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Except if you show a great deal of knowledge and insight about a scene or character, I think, and if an actor is coming there to, you know, not have that background or dedication or whatever you want to call it, I will talk to him or her about a better way, so to speak, in depth of character and what the possibilities are in terms of a scene, as I do when I'm a director.
Right.
The possibilities of what is really going on here. In this scene. It's not just hello, how are you doing? You're having a nice day. That's a nice just a dialogue. That's not what's going on.
So what's under the text.
Yes, all the stuff underneath that's going on. So I will have that discussion with that. But in the stage it's we have that time.
You have the rehearsal.
You know, you have the rehearsal and so on, and then you try to get everybody on your page.
How was your experience on because one of your most lauded performances on stage was Eddie Carbone.
View from the Bridge.
And you deal with Arthur Miller's words, which is just amazing. What was that rehearsal process and the whole thing leading up to that line?
Well,
as an actor.
This is a perfect example. Okay. That play, and you'll love this story. When I was in that first acting school, the dramatic workshop, and I was all of just turning 18, Arthur Miller came to my school and was giving us a lecture.
Right.
And he had two kids do a scene from A View from the Bridge. I had never read it.
Right.
I didn't know. But I looked at that and I said, I'm going to do that play on Broadway one day.
Really?
Just my first time in acting school, okay?
Right.
25 or less than 25 years later, then I did the show in summer stock and other places, and I knew the effect that it had on audiences. And God, I had people running out of the theater screaming, thinking I'd really killed myself in the play.
Right.
So the effect was extremely, extremely amazing. So years later, 1975 or 6, Arvin Brown of the Long Wharf Theater said to me, what play do you want to do? I said, A View from the Bridge. He said, okay, we'll do A View from the Bridge at the Long Wharf Theater. So we did it there, and we invited Arthur, and Dustin Hoffman came, and Paul Newman came to see the show, and they really liked it. And so we wound up doing it on Broadway, some couple of 2 years later, I believe. And Arthur Miller, was rather wonderful. In the rehearsal, I felt like I wrote the play.
Right.
And I told them that.
Spoke to, Red Hook in Brooklyn. And,
sure. In fact, when we were going to do the play, I took Arvin Brown to the neighborhood.
Right.
I had him come to my uncle's apartment, eat there, talk to my uncle, talk to my aunt, go take him to Red Hook, take him to all over these places to give him, because he had no understanding of, it's not his background at all. So he knew I knew a great deal about the play. And I said, this should be the couch, this should be the doily should be here, this is the walls, this is what the floor looks like, and so on and so forth. And so we proceeded that way. And then we cast it together and so on.
So you were really involved with that production.
Oh, yeah.
From the nuts and bolts right all the way through.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick story. I played that off in a regional production. I played Alfieri.
Alfieri.
Which is a great...
Yes, it is.
The Greek chorus is a great role.
Yeah.
So let me get back to developing a character again. Now, you've done this a couple of times. You're doing it now with Fiorello LaGuardia. But I'm a huge boxing fan, okay? And I'm a huge Rocky Marciano fan.
Mm-hmm.
You played Rocky Marciano in that famous TV movie. Then you later did the Favreau thing. You played Frankie Carbo.
Yeah.
When you're approaching a character who is a real person, is it different than an Eddie Carbone, a fictional? I mean, do you approach it differently? Did you seek out the Marciano family? How do you do that when there's that at stake?
Well, when we first did the Marciano movie, it was done for television.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that I think it was ABC was making a deal with the Marciano family, and they were not happy, and so they were not endorsing, doing it. So, but I did seek out his brother. I did speak with his brother at the time. Rocky, of course, was passed.
Yeah, he died.
As much as I could get, But I read books. I have a couple of books on him, and so you do as much research as you possibly can. You look at footage when you're playing real people, just like I did with LaGuardia, just like I do with anybody I'm playing that is real, and you try to understand and then make it. It could be real, but you got to make it theatrically real, and interesting, maybe even a little bit more interesting than they are. I've seen so many actors that play a role, and they're not exciting. They're not giving you the extra walk. They're not giving you the background of their experience as a character.
Right. So what excites you when you see a performance is that depth, that rich. When you say, all right, there's more going on here than this guy's. He's not just playing the text. He's got a whole something he's created for himself.
Oh, sure. My goodness. Look, take the scene of Anthony Hopkins and I believe Emma Thompson.
Yes,
in
Remains of the Day.
Remains of the Day.
Right.
That scene when she comes into his bedroom.
Yes.
And he's reading his book, and he's private,
and
he's got his smoking. He's smoking of all things, and and she comes in and invades his space, and his whole world is like, who's this woman? He smells her.
Right.
This is what acting is about.
Right. There's even some psychological gestures he's doing. He's just sort of putting his hand.
Yes, that's one of the things he loves to do.
He loves that. Great stuff.
That Anthony Hopkins motion.
Who are some of your heroes as in the
Laurence Olivier, Anthony Hopkins,
One of my favorites as well. I love Hot.
Yes, I worked with him in Nixon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, in Nixon.
That must have been very cool.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
How was that experience with Oliver Stone?
That was rather wonderful because our first day at reading, it was Anthony and I mean all the actors, the main actors in terms were around the table, and you know how Stone is with the script, tremendously private. You know, nobody sees nobody.
Right.
To my amazement, in that reading, one actor would say, "You think I need to say this line? Let's cut this out. Let's cut this out. Let's change this." Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I was shocked. We're dealing with history, folks.
Right.
We're dealing with Robert Kennedy, Jack
Kissinger,
JFK, Kissinger, everybody. You know. So I was amazed. I was amazed at that. But they all must have made very good sense to Oliver,
I guess,
because he said yes to it. And you know, as far as a director is concerned, when I'm directing, I want to give actors all the freedom and relaxation to be creative and brave as possible. And as specific as I am, I first want them to bring me their warehouse.
So before you're going to put those details that you're thinking about, you want to see, let's see what you bring to the table.
Because I don't believe in going to a rehearsal and asking the director what he wants.
Okay.
I, as an actor, will bring him how I see things, and hope to convince him. Unless, and this is the key, he's got something better.
Right.
And I say that to every actor I direct. You have a better idea than I do? Give it to me.
Let's use it.
Give it to me. I want it.
Right.
You see, you can, because to me, acting is creating upon creation. You give it another idea, and you know this. I know that because you're a wonderful actor. you create on top of creation.
Right.
You just keep going and going and going and going, and that's what to me is the idea of the ideal of a collaboration.
What was one of your acting experiences, be it film or theater, where, I mean, we've all had this one where you're in it, you're doing it, and you know it. It's like when you connect.
You hit that baseball, you hear that sound,
Can you think of one like that?
Well, you know, of all the performances that we do, you know, we're lucky if we hit it just right.
Yes.
And that experience is a rare experience because every cylinder has to be right. In answer to your question.
Yes.
About the performance.
Yes.
I did it in His Honor, The Little Flower.
Right.
And it was like riding a horse to the Kentucky Derby and just gliding, that feeling of just gliding, knowing that the audience is getting everything you're saying, everything you're doing, and it was effortless. It was like flying. Was it a particular house, a particular night, or was it the run? You know, you just were on that roll. Just that performance. Really, you hit that time where everything is, you're satisfied. Which is a bad word sometimes. Yeah, a real, satisfied that you've done all the work that you've put in for years, right. And then all of a sudden this kind of performance comes, and you walk off the stage and you say, "Oh my gosh!" It happened again in Yanks 3, Detroit nothing, top of the 7th. That was a performance of everything that I was thinking they got. Oh, right. It was emanating off of you after that. Yes. Wow. How I know that is because I could, everything that I was thinking before I said whatever I had to say, they were already into my brain. Right. Into my mind, into my psyche. Right. And so their reaction again was so wonderful. Right. Now, in View from the Bridge, at one performance, the audience behaved like it was a rock concert. I never seen anything like that in a straight play. Right. At the end of the play for the applause. Right. They had their hands in the air, applauding and screaming, "Hey, go Tony, go Tony!" Wow! I never seen anything like that in my life. Right. I mean, it was that kind of a, and people outside. When I come out, there was a man and his wife, and he said to me, how do you know? How do you know?
Right. You know, it's interesting. My wife and I did a production of Streetcar a long time ago because she's an actress as well. I directed and I played Stanley, and we got those reactions because of that, the abuse, the raw kind of sexual abuse of that show. Williams, people would come up after and say, just like that. How did you? You know, they wanted to touch you. How did you know? How you were like my father? You were like, you know. So that's what a great feeling that is. You got to do, you got to make films at what is often called the golden age for directors, for independent filmmakers, for filmmaking in general. That window between the late '60s, early '70s, when these terrific pictures were being made, and like I said, what was that like the 7-Ups and French Connection?
Well,
what was that time like and that experience?
Let me
like?
tell you, I mentioned before being in the right place at the right time. And the fact that I did Honeymoon Killers, which was one of my first films, and it's a cult classic. It's a fabulous film, one of my favorite films of all of them, made for $125,000, and it got great reviews and so on and so forth. That's a whole other story, but. Both Phil D'Antoni, who was the producer of French Connection, and Billy Friedkin had seen the film. Right. And one of them said, let's get him. Let's get him to play Sal. And the other one said, what are you talking about? He has a Spanish accent. He's Spanish. Go to Spain.
See, I run into that sometimes now.
Of course. You know, don't sing too good, don't act too good, don't dance too good, exactly. You could be a star. You know? You know? So if you're too convincing in the role,
that's it. Forget it.
You're finished. Not good. Not good. So thank God, I think it was the casting person said, no, he's an American actor, blah, blah, blah. So that happened. Now, when I did 7-Ups, but I'll go back to the stories with Billy. When we did the 7-Ups, they advertised in the newspaper, we want a Tony LoBianco type. All of a sudden,
right here.
That's what I said. All of a sudden, I was a type. I didn't know. I didn't know I arrived that quickly. You know. So you know, from Honeymoon Killers, where I played a Spanish killer lover, to French Connection, to they wanted. I was already a type. So which type did they want? Right. You know. So I said, hey, I'm here. What about me? So that's how that came about.
Wow.
Most everything I did, I was not right for. I mean, Marciano, you being a great boxing fan, and so am I, when Lou DiGiamo, the casting director, said, let's get Tony LoBianco, the head of ABC at that time said, absolutely not. I do not want LoBianco as Marciano at all. So when Louis told me that, I said, let me screen test.
Okay.
I'll change. I'll transform into Marciano.
What did they think? Where did they think they were going to find another? You know, I don't know what he was thinking.
So we did it, test, and showed it to him, and he said, "That's it. That's who I want. Get him. Get him. Who's that?"
Once again, the brilliance of the.
You know that's happened over and over again. I mean, I can do a whole interview on every one of those, one of those things.
So just to wrap up. The artist, the role of the artist, whatever it is, the fine artist, the musician, the actor, the director, what's the role of the art? How important is the role of the artist in our society? I mean, what they bring to people's lives.
Well, look, all I can tell you is that my purpose as an actor, as an artist, is to enlighten and bring an education and bring a entertainment, which is stardust, to get your attention for listen to what I have to say and how I have to say it and what to bring you life so that you can improve your life or that you can see a way politically, socially, and so on and so forth. That's what artists do in paintings. To me, anyway, they're trying to reveal something, and the poor artist and the poor writer. I mean, I feel sorry for writers because all they have is the word to put down on paper and not what they mean. you know?
Right.
Not the depth of what they think. They may say gleeful or sorrowful, what, you know, those kind of things. But the depth of the conversation, the depth of what he's trying to get at is in the hands of the actor.
Right.
To interpret that, and the director to see that, to bring that out in the artist. So,
and there's a truth that comes out of the performance, the truth of what he's saying, and the truth of the underlying truth of that character. What is the role and what is the importance of the artist to reveal truth to the audience?
That's it.
That's it. That's everything. Right?
That's it. The truth will set you free. The truth is what we try to deal with. You know, that blatant kind of upfront honesty that an audience gets drawn into and relates to and understands. If you can listen, the monster is out there, right?
Right.
The audience, they come with every problem in the world, as you know.
Right.
You know, they just had an argument, they just had a bad meal, they just have a babysitter, they just got through traffic, they just paid a lot of money to see, they're unhappy, and the wife has dragged her guy to see this play of all things that he wants, rather watch this and something else.
Right.
Your job is to transform them from all of that, as you know, and to make them think and believe what you are talking about. Because how dare any of us, as artists, say, watch me?
Right.
How dare we?
Right.
Unless you have something to say.
And that's,
you know?
That's it. The key is having something to say.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Tony, it's been great, man. I really appreciate you giving me the time.
Thank you.
You are a wealth. I could sit here for hours with you.
For hours. I can talk forever.
Fantastic. So
Well,
I have loved it. It was been a blast.
Now, keep in mind, my relationship with you is watching you perform.
Right.
So
right.
I saw,
you saw the where I was, I was a Spanish killer.
You were a bad man.
I was a Spanish killer.
Exactly. So I saw in you, the artist that you are, and this is why this interview.
It's awesome.
Okay.
It's awesome. I really appreciate it.
God bless you,
so
man.
much.
God bless you.